All right, so the history of this prior to the Hall of Fame is that it was the Champions Dinner. So at this point, we'd like to recognize our honored guests, past champions, past presidents, previous Joe Kane Distinguished Service Award recipients, and that kind of thing. I would like everyone to please keep standing afterwards, just so that we can get everybody recognized and do applause once. So, starting off every year until somebody with a higher A gets in front of them. Dan Arvanitis. New Hampshire Amateur Champion in 2001, four-time New Hampshire Mid-Amateur Champion, New Hampshire Senior Champion in 2022, Senior Team in 18 and 24, and the Senior Match Play Champion in also in 2024. Pete Bollier, the Senior Match Play Champion in 2016. Sean Bishop, the Boys Junior Champion in 1997. Jane Blaylock, the Girls Junior Champion in 1960, 61, and 63, and the Women's State Amateur in 65, 66, and 68. And Jim Blaylock, the 2025 Joe Kane Award recipient. John Bottomley, a New Hampshire Golf Past President and 2024 Joe Kane Award recipient. Jim Silley, the 2011 New Hampshire Amateur Champion. I'm only in the C's, folks, so if we could hold our applause to the end. You don't want to see me much longer. But anyway, Jim Silley, the 2011 New Hampshire Amateur Champion, the 2008 Mid-Am Champion, the 2021 Stroke Play Champion, Four-Ball Champion in 2010 and 22, and the Mid-Amateur Team, 3 times a champion. Mo Deschard, the Boys Junior in 1963. There's Mo. Corey Doring, the Girls Junior Champion in 1997, and the Women's State Amateur Champion in 2001 and 2005. Eric Emino, the New Hampshire Senior Champion in 2025. Tony Fournier, the New Hampshire Senior Champion in 2019, and the Players Champion in 2021. Bill Goldstein, the Boys Junior in 1991. Harvin Groff, the Mid-Amateur Match Play Champion in 2019 and 2024, and the Mid-Amateur Champion in 2024. Josiah Hockala, the Boys Junior Champion in 2023, and the reigning New Hampshire Amateur Champion. Nick Khalil, the Four-Ball Champion from 2001. Matt Keene, the Mid-Amateur Team Champion from 2019. Peter Kelty, the Senior Team Champion from 2025, and the Four-Ball Champion from 2016. Bill Kruger, the Senior Team in 2017, and a New Hampshire Golf Past President. Dave Larrabee, the Boys Junior Champion in 1984, the Players Invitational in 2024, and the current New Hampshire Golf President. Rick Lavasser, New Hampshire Golf Past President. Mike Mahan, the Four-Ball Champion in 2010 and 2022, Mid-Amateur Team in 20, 22, and 24. Bob Mielkars, the 9-time State Amateur Champion, the Senior Champion 3 times, Senior Match Play Champion in 2022, the Senior Team in 2017. Dan Mulkern, the 2025 Four-Ball Match Play Champion, 2025 Mid-Amateur Team, and the 2025 Players Invitational. Amy Peters, the Women's Mid-Amateur Champion in 2018, and the Mid-Amateur Team in 2019. Scott Peters, the Senior Team, 5 consecutive years, the way I look at that. Is that 2018, 19, 20, 21, and 22. James Pleat, the New Hampshire Amateur Champion in 20 and 21, Boys Junior in 2006, the Stroke Play in 2015, and a 3-time Mid-Amateur Champion. Phil Pleat, the New Hampshire Amateur Champion in 1981, 85, and 97, the Mid-Amateur Champion 8 times, the Stroke Play Champion 3 times, and the New Hampshire Senior Champion 8 times. Maddie Savory, the Girls Junior 2024. Craig Stekowicz, the New Hampshire Amateur Champion in 1990 and 98, Mid-Amateur Champion in 91 and 2003, Stroke Play in 2000, 2007, Players Invitational in 2012, a 5-time senior match play champion, the 4-ball champion in 2003, and a 5-time senior team championship, as well as a senior junior championship from 2024. Tara Watt, the New Hampshire Women's Amateur Champion in 2011 and 2020, a 4-time Women's Mid-Amateur Champion, the Women's Match Play Champion in 2021, and the Women's Team in 2021. Patty Wildman, the 2021 Joe Kane Award recipient. Brett Wilson, the 2013 and 2014 Mid-Amateur Champion, Junior Senior Champion in 2024, the 2025 4-ball Match Play Champion, the 2025 Mid-Amateur Team, and Bryce Zimmerman, the 4-ball champion in 2020. Ladies and gentlemen, your past champions and your dignitaries of New Hampshire golf.
Congrats again to all of our past champions here tonight. It is really, truly great to see so many folks come back year after year. We would now like to take a quick minute to recognize some of our sponsors and partners who really help us make what we do possible by their support. And to do that, I'm going to ask our Communications Director, Kate Billings, up to the stage.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome. Before I get started, there's somebody in this room that doesn't get enough recognition for what he does for golf in New Hampshire, and that is Matt. Matt has gotten our organization to where it is today, and if it wasn't for him, we wouldn't be where we're at. So thank you, Matt. Here. All right. We're thrilled to be celebrating this first year of this exciting new era of New Hampshire golf. Tonight, 2025 brought a lot of change for us. A new name, a new logo, a new look, and of course, some new champions were crowned along the way. We kicked off the season by launching our rebrand, New Hampshire Golf, as you've all seen. And from there, we focused on honoring our history while creating new opportunities to bring more people into the game. It's been a fun and rewarding year for us. And we've seen a lot of growth, not only in the number of golfers who are members of New Hampshire Golf, but in also how many people have connected with us both in person at our events and online. I'd like to call out our friends from We Do who are here today, Liam Roberge, Gavin McFarland, who were instrumental in helping us, so if we can give them a round of applause. They're sitting right over there. Stand up, guys. We want to see you. We thank you for everything you've done for us this year. Our partnership with 603 Brewery continued to grow stronger this year. They hosted the official launch party for New Hampshire Golf. It was a fantastic event where many of our friends and supporters came out to celebrate and where we met a lot of new faces who are now part of our community. 603 Brewery has truly embraced New Hampshire Golf. They've created their own gin club with us, the 603 Brewery Golf Club. They offer gin handicaps and exclusive benefits to their members, which is so great to see such a buy-in from one of our partners. And we're so grateful to them for inviting us to Fall Fest, where we had the chance to connect with thousands of people. After our rebrand, we dove headfirst into tournament season and witnessed some incredible accomplishments along the way. At the local level, Josiah Hakala captured his first New Hampshire Amateur title, and Juliana Megan earned her second New Hampshire Women's Amateur Championship. On the regional level, Maddie Savory tied for the lead at the New England Girls Junior Amateur, which forced a playoff. While she ultimately finished third, that performance was outstanding, and Maddie, you should be incredibly proud of that achievement in such a talented field of New England golfers. We also had 6 New Hampshire golfers compete on the national stage in USGA events. Laura Shanahan-Rowe, Harry Garland, Braden Kiley, Tara Watt, James Pleat, and Josiah Hakala. Reaching that level of competition is an accomplishment in itself, and we couldn't be prouder. While this season brought plenty of change, one thing remained constant, and it was the unwavering support of our sponsors. We're so grateful to our partners at Davis & Toll Insurance, Golf and Ski Warehouse, C2 Vehicles, Ahead, New Hampshire Distributors, Vigilant Wealth Management, 603 Brewery, Johnny Walker, and NBT Bank for their continued belief in New Hampshire golf. We simply couldn't do what we do without their dedication and support. So before we move on, I'd like to take a moment to recognize our partners who are celebrating with us here tonight. So I asked Dan Mulkern, Tyler Kelly, Scott and Amy Peters, Eileen Santerre, Marilyn Charbonneau, and the rest of the NBT team to please stand up and be recognized. Thanks for everything that you guys do for us and for helping make New Hampshire golf such a success.
Thank you, Kate, and congratulations on being Employee of the Day. As we continue to recognize the individuals who have made such a lasting impact on golf in this state, we're thrilled once again to be working with our friends from the McDonough Foundation. And I'd like to ask Bill Kruger up here to present the 2025 Lenski Award to Dave Wilson.
Good evening, everyone. I want to thank the New Hampshire Golf for allowing us these few minutes to present this award. As Matt just said, I'm Bill Kruger. I'm the president of the McDonough Foundation. Before I go to the award, I would like to spend a moment to give you a background on McDonough. McDonough raises money to provide scholarships to employees of New Hampshire golf courses who are attending college and trade schools. We do so by fundraising at country clubs and golf courses through member and player contributions, as well as several other fundraising efforts the board undertakes throughout the year. McDonough was formed in 1955 as a caddy scholarship and awarded $1,000 to 2 students that year. As times changed and caddy programs all but disappeared, McDonough expanded its eligibility criteria to include anyone working at a golf course, in the pro shop, on the grounds crew, in the restaurant or beverage cart, or any other amenity offered at the club. The kids who receive McDonough scholarships are the lifeblood of golf course operations across the state and are an impressive representation of our next generation of society. McDonough golf scholarships are determined primarily on demonstrated financial need, and every scholar is interviewed by someone on the board, which I can tell you personally is the most rewarding aspect of serving on the McDonough board. This year, McDonough gave just over $225,000 in scholarships to 98 students working at 40 clubs throughout the state who attended colleges and universities all over the country. Since 1955, McDonough has given out over $3.7 million in scholarship grants to New Hampshire golf course employees to help lessen their educational costs. So please, when you're considering how to distribute your charitable donations, please consider McDonough and its scholars, knowing it's a meaningful investment in young people's futures. And now back to the reason I'm primarily up here, is to introduce this year's Stan Lenski Distinguished Service Award recipient, Dave Wilson. The Lenski was established by the McDonough Golf Foundation directors in 2001 to honor and recognize Stan Lenski, Manchester Country Club's longtime golf professional, for his many years of generous support of the McDonough organization and its scholars. Each year since, McDonough has presented this award to an individual or organization for their dedication and service to the organization. This year's recipient, Dave Wilson, and I met when we were paired together for the first 2 days of the 1992 Amateur Championship at Sunapee Country Club. 3 things that stuck in my mind about those 2 days: enjoying playing with Dave, being soaking wet for 2 days, and both of us being too stubborn to quit even when it was obvious we weren't going to make the cut. With Dave living and working in Dover and me in Concord, I didn't run into him again until I joined the McDonough board in the late 1990s. Dave served as treasurer of our grassroots organization for about 15 years. During those years, we were usually able to increase our scholarships thanks to Dave's keen ability to manage McDonough's very limited funds. Sometimes this meant that checks didn't go out until late in September after our fundraising tournament had taken place. But Dave always found a way for these kids to get their scholarships. Even though he is retired as a full board member, Dave still serves as one of our emeritus directors and remains a good steward of McDonough and the New Hampshire golf community. The Wilson family also continues to be a big proponent of McDonough, having established the Wilson Kurtz Family Scholarship in memory of Dave's late wife, Marcia. The Wilson Kurtz is part of McDonough's current portfolio of 28 named permanently endowed scholarships. And Dave's son, Brett, currently serves on the McDonough board, carrying the Wilson name legacy of McDonough support into the next generation. For this and his many years of dedication to McDonough, I'm proud to present the 2026 Stan Linsky Distinguished Service Award to Dave Wilson. Thank you, Dave.
Thanks for the kind words, Bill. You took part of my speech away from me there, because I remember very well when we played at Sunapee, and it was miserable. But we both remember that well, and we've talked about it many years since. And when Bill joined the board, we kind of rekindled our friendship and started playing member guests. Bill and I played together. Neither one of us did very well. Then we invited Brett and Bob Mealcars to play. Then we started doing very well, and then after a few years, my game was going downhill, and I couldn't keep up with the three of them. And I said, Brett, we should break this off. And he said, Dad, we can't do that, because as long as we have you on the group, it doesn't look like we're trying to stack the team and win it. Prior to getting this award, I knew of Stan Linsky, but I didn't know, what a special person he was. An outstanding gentleman and proponent for golf, and a very good golfer. Although he didn't play much, but I also, he had an incredible memory for names, like Jim Sharon from Abenaki. Jim was one of these guys that, if you met him, you could win shop 10 years later and he'd know who you were. So incredible there. So when I joined the board in the dark ages, and I can't even tell you what year it was, but we were giving away $8,000 or $10,000 a year. And we struggled along with that for a couple of years, and then something changed. And I'll credit Steve Damaris, who wasn't on the board a long time, but Steve, and I'm not even sure if it was his idea, but he got Abenaki Country Club to agree to direct billing of the members, and that changed everything pretty dramatically there. So that was a big, cause, the increase from the 8 or 10,000 when I started to about 125,000 when I retired, and it wasn't my financial management. I just accounted for the numbers there. And the other member that I remember very distinctly, among others, was the unforgettable Bob Erb. And he was the one, among other things, that created the endowed scholarships funds. And when I looked on the website prior to this, they were 27. I guess I've been corrected that one more now, so now up to 28. So that's been a huge source of increased revenue and increased contributions there. So during my time on the board, I have many wonderful memories, but I remember the pregame golf matches and all the money I lost to the other directors. They're a bunch of bandits there. But I remember very fondly, and Bill touched on this, the fun of interviewing the scholars, and they come in their senior year in high school, incoming freshmen, and a lot of them very nervous. They didn't really know what they were doing, and 4 years later, it was amazing, the changes there. It was very special. The thing I still remember being stressed about was getting the money in from the clubs to make our contributions in time to fund the scholarships. But I also very briefly want to give a shout out to Craig Steckwitz that steals a little bit of Brett's thunder. I acknowledge him. And thanks to everyone for making this a wonderful night. It's certainly fun to be here among the golf royalty that I hear Brett talking about all the time.
Our final special award of this evening is the Joseph Kane Distinguished Service Award. I know many folks here know Joe or knew Joe, but for those who don't, Joe is a beloved member of the New Hampshire golf family. He was an expert rules official, a long-serving USGA committee member, and a past president of New Hampshire Golf. More than anything, Joe was a true ambassador of the game. He embodied so many of the traits that make golf special: honesty, integrity, generosity, and sportsmanship. He was a founding member at the Golf Club in New England and was instrumental in bringing the 2012 U.S. Junior to the club, and it remains the only New Hampshire club to have hosted a USGA championship. In 2019, New Hampshire Golf established the Joseph Kane Distinguished Service Award to recognize an individual who personified those attributes that Joe held so dearly. And frankly, I'm not sure that the 2025 recipient more appropriately embodies everything that Joe stood for. Jim Blaylock was introduced to the game of golf at the age of 10, and I highly doubt that at that time, Jim had any idea golf would be the vehicle by which he would change so many lives. An accomplished player, Jim won the high school state championship in 1970 and has the unique distinction to be able to say he defeated a New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame member when he took down Kirk Hannefeld in a one-on-one match when they were junior golfers. However, as the case can be for so many of us, while golf was a passion and a part of his life, it began to take a back seat. Jim was intimately involved with running the family restaurant, the Old Ferry Landing in Portsmouth, and suddenly that accomplished junior player had lost his love for the game, going so far as to resign his membership at Kachiko in 2004. Now, this was certainly a fork in the road for Jim's golf journey, and to be fair, when it came to that fork, it helped to have a sister who had won 27 times on the LPGA Tour, was LPGA Rookie of the Year, and is a member of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. Whether it was Jane sharing some of her favorite golf books or simply offering words of encouragement or advice, Jim knew that his golf journey needed to continue. And what Jim has given to the game over the last 25 years is an unwavering testament to the power of golf, but more than that, it shows us what a wonderful human being Jim Blaylock is. His contributions to the first tee of New Hampshire are immeasurable. Quite simply put, Jim, you've done something that not many of us here can rightly say. You have changed lives. Jim's dedication to his craft, love of his students, and commitment to the values of the first tee are only surpassed by the qualities of his person. Jim is among the kindest, brightest, most genuine and caring people I have met in nearly 20 years of working in the golf industry. He simply makes you want to be a better person, and his infectious spirit and energy are second to none. Jim, we're all blessed to have been able to spend a short amount of time on this planet with you. I know how much Joe Kane would be proud to present this award to you, and it's my honor to do so. Ladies and gentlemen, the 2025 recipient of the Joseph Kane Distinguished Service Award, Jim Blaylock.
Wow. Hello? Wow. Oh, I don't know if I can see this through those tears. Thank you so much. Joe Kane's contribution to New Hampshire golf has been an example for all of us to aspire to, which makes this award so incredibly gratifying. Thank you for this honor, everyone. This is just incredible. To realize that my love for golf, which has sustained and grew my dedication to coaching children in the first tee of New Hampshire for the last 20 plus years, has had this much of an impact, that's truly rewarding. Joe, these words are for you. What is it about this game that captivates us for a lifetime? Is it the thrill of a purely hit shot? The exhilaration of winning a match or a championship? Is it the utter joy of merely playing with my friends, my family, or meeting new people? Or is it the interior satisfaction that the outer course we play on parallels the inner course that plays with us as it teaches us its wisdom while it feeds our soul. I was introduced to golf at Portsmouth Country Club at age 10, not 12, by my sister Janie and my dad. She was better than he was, so I listened to her more. I remember losing my temper. It was on the 10th fairway at Portsmouth. I was young, and I threw a club. Janie took my clubs away. Then I knew golf was different than most other sports, that golf insisted upon an elevated behavior. I remember the first time I broke 40 at Portsmouth Country Club, having to three-putt for about 40 feet on the 18th green. My sister, who I was playing with, she didn't tell me how to putt it. She didn't line it up for me. She merely quietly said, "What do you think you need to do to three-putt?" In other words, she held the space for me to succeed or fail. That's what a first tee coach does. My mother knew the value embedded in golfing places. As a teenager, when getting into trouble, which unfortunately happened a lot, instead of putting me on restriction, my mom would send me to the golf course because she knew that's where I best healed psychologically. Golf then and now is where I figure things out, where difficulties create positive values. Golf can always use more adults like who understand the game as a learning environment the way my sister and my mom did. When introduced to the first tee by my sister Janie, I became less interested in the value of a lower score, although I still care about it, but more interested in how golf holds and guides each person when frustrated, confused, and curious. How do they act when winning? How do they act when losing? How do they interact with partners and opponents? Are they willing to experiment and explore with their swing? The first tee of New Hampshire provides the place and the lessons for children of all ages to find their way through all of life's joys and all of life's hazards. The first tee, their impact statement, their mission statement is to impact the lives of young people by providing educational programs that build character, instill life-enhancing values, and promote healthy choices through the game of golf. For example, respect for myself, respect for others, and respect for my surroundings. When you place a caring adult with a curious child in a fun golfing atmosphere and establish a safe learning environment that holds that there are no mistakes, only situations for learning, and then integrate in the first tee coaching philosophy, magic happens. The first tee coaching philosophy is as brilliant as it is effective, and while implementing it for 20 plus years, I've witnessed the growth of so many children. And currently I get to train coaches who used to be participants. Yeah, they come back because they have experienced in their lives the enormous benefits that they had by being with our program. Knowing this and witnessing this is unspeakable gratitude. Joe Louis Barrows was the father of the first tee, was the father of national first tee. His dad was Joe Louis, if any of you remember the great boxer. But Joe's fight was for kids in golf. And he, at network meetings, he implored all of the first tee chapters to ask this very important question: are the children well? This ideal should be primary in every community, that we should prioritize the physical and psychological health of our children. If we responded the children are well, that means that the community is strong. All the children are well means that life is good. The first tee, by asking that question every single class we coach, creates a seamless lesson plan that speaks to the needs of a young people. We create a safe and learning environment that best nurtures our children so they can be more than okay, so that they can excel in their goals and dreams. A caring place in which they can meet life's obstacles and turn them into continuous learning, so that challenges in and outside the golf course are gifts when looked at from a first tee perspective. Each activity seamlessly contains a golf skill and a life skill and are presented in the form of a colorful and a really fun game. While they are learning and practicing golf, they are integrating values that can sustain them through all aspects of life. And while they're having fun playing these games in the golf setting, this keeps our kids coming back. How do we do this? It starts with listening to them. It starts with gaining their trust. It starts with creating a safe environment in which failure transforms into success. Yes, I absolutely love golf. And the community of New Hampshire golfers can only benefit from this manner of love. So let's collaborate with all our individual skills and connections and do more than keep the children well, but give a place for the children to thrive. This, in my opinion, is winning. I see several people in this room who have the knowledge and the clout to serve the New Hampshire golf community and the community of children by adhering to the values that makes the first tee necessary. In the end, it is about service. Each one of us can ask, how can I best serve our children by maintaining golf as the greatest game ever played? I want to thank my first tee table right here. One of my favorite movies was, what was the name? Field of Dreams. And in Field of Dreams, they ask, if you build it, they will come. Well, we built it, and they are coming, and we're still building it, and they're coming in droves. So thank you, my first tee family, my sister Janie. You've been my mentor, and my nephew Richard. He's a coach, and we just collaborate every single day on how to keep the children well. Thank you.
Congratulations again, Jim. We now need to acknowledge some of the stellar play that we saw out on the golf course this year. I think those in the room who are competitive within New Hampshire golf events will attest to the fact that the amount of talent that we've seen in this state has never been greater. And there's some folks here this evening that deserve special recognition for how well they played this season. First up are going to be our Junior Players of the Year, and to introduce those is our Junior Director, Ben Landman.
Thanks, Matt. In an attempt to win back the Employee of the Day award, new haircut looks great, by the way. Before I get started here, I just want to thank everybody in this room for their contribution to supporting New Hampshire golf. The reality is everything that you guys do in this room really allows me to do my job and support junior golf across the state. We're lucky enough to have a thriving junior department with a lot of participants that are getting a lot of competitive golf experience, and hopefully a lot of these players will be sitting in here like the James Pleats, the Brett Wilsons, and the Craig Stekowiches in 20, 30 years being inducted into a Hall of Fame. So thank you all. We appreciate your support. We'll get right into it. First up is our Birdie Girls Player of the Year. This year's Girls Birdie Player of the Year stormed onto the Junior Tour and never looked back. Having only played in a few events in 2024, she loaded her schedule in 2025. Starting her season at the world-famous Hoodcroft Junior Open, Mackenzie shot 39 to take home the championship. From here, she went on to rattle off 5 more first-place finishes. Her only runner-up of the season came at the 3-day Mike Ryan. As the only girl in a field full of boys, she shot 36, 39, 39 to fall just a few strokes short of taking home the championship. With half her rounds coming in at sub 40, she ended the season with a scoring average just above 40. It won't be long until she's given her PGA professional dad a run for his money, if she's not already. So join me in welcoming up our Birdie Girls Player of the Year, Mackenzie Malcolm.
Hi, everyone. First off, I'm very excited to be here tonight accepting the Girls Birdie Player of the Year award. It feels super good being surrounded by so many amazing players, families, and supporters of junior golf in our state. It's such an honor being here tonight, especially on the same night the NHGA is inducting Craig Stekowich into the Hall of Fame. Congrats, Mr. Stekowich. I promise I'm taking notes in case I get invited back here in 40 or 50 years. I have to say, all the NHGA tournaments this year were incredible. The courses, the people, everything. Well, except for Lake Winnipesaukee Country Club. That place is beautiful, don't get me wrong, but I'm pretty sure I found about every bunker on that course. Also, thank you Sky Meadow Country Club for all the support. Everyone there is so encouraging, from the pros to the members and staff. I'm very proud to represent Sky Meadow when I play. I've learned a lot this season, like how to stay somewhat calm after a 3-putt, and how to smile even when your dad tells you just to focus on tempo for the 500th time. Speaking of my dad, I owe him a huge thank you. He's not just my dad, he's my coach and caddy. He's a PGA professional, so you'd think he's super patient. But after hearing me say, I think I hit it a little thin, or I chunked it for the 100th time, he's not so much. But thanks for being there even when I question your green rating and club choices. I'd also like to thank Ben and the NHGA staff for setting up this tour. The tournaments are always so fun to play in. And to my fellow competitors, congrats on your seasons. You've pushed me to play my best and made this season so great. This award motivates me to keep improving and working hard. Now I should probably go practice my bunker shots. Have a great night. See you on the course.
We'll get this mic figured out at some point. All right, on to our Birdie Boys Player of the Year. The boys' Birdie Player of the Year made himself very comfortable at the top of leaderboards all season, getting a gritty first win early at the Nashua Spring Series in blustery conditions set him up for a season full of top 3 finishes. Playing in 10 events, he had 5 first-place finishes, 2 runners-up, 2 third-place finishes. Although he won a lot of events over the season, his most impressive accomplishment might have come at the Junior Team Championship. The Junior Team Championship is an event that is set up for our elite division players only, so this is mostly high school age players, well beyond what Aiden is age-wise and potentially ability. Playing the 36 holes of 4-ball from around 6,000 yards, Aiden and his partner Mark Jampa, also a birdie player, were the youngest in the field by far. Playing against high school players, Aiden and Mark finished in 16th place. While not a top 3 finish, impressive nonetheless, playing against high school boys. So, without further ado, welcome up Aiden Robichaud, our Birdie Player of the Year.
I just want to say thank you to everyone who ran the tournaments. Fun season. Yeah, I don't know. Thanks for coming out today. Yeah, really fun tournament. I don't know what to say. Okay, thank
you. Next up is our Girls Prep Player of the Year. The Girls Prep Player of the Year is no stranger to winning. Having entered the field in 5 junior events this season, she took home first place trophy in each one of them. Her lowest round of the year came at the Junior Tour at Keene, where she finished with a 3 over 75 to cruise to a first place finish. With the Junior Tour making a stop at her home course this year, Na was able to card a strong 8 over 80 to take home the hardware on her home turf, something special. Winning this award for her 2nd year in a row, let's welcome up our Girls Prep Player of the Year, Na War. And I think on the way in, her dad said that she qualified for the drive, chip, and putt as well, just recently, right? Nationals. So she'll be going to Augusta as well.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to take a moment to say thank you to my parents and to the NAGA for everything you've done to support me and make these golf tournaments possible. To my parents, thank you for always being there, for the rides, the encouragement, and for believing in me no matter how I played. The support you guys have given has been more than anyone could ever ask for. Either that was on the course cheering me on or off the course telling me there's always another day. And to the NAGA, thank you for organizing these amazing tournaments and giving young players like me the chance to compete, learn, and grow. Without the great dedication you guys give towards these tournaments, players like me wouldn't have the opportunity to grow and succeed. Golf has taught me so much, whether that was patience, focus, or perseverance. Golf has taught me all of it. So truly, thank you so much to everyone.
Next up is our Boys Prep Player of the Year. The Boys Prep Player of the Year was a newcomer to the Junior Tour. In his first year playing competitive golf on the J Tour, he certainly made a splash. His first event was the Hoodcroft Junior Open. After 18 holes, he found himself tied for the lead with Wyatt Churchill. Heading to extra holes, Colton was able to secure his first win in dramatic fashion. What a way to start a career. Colton would go on to find the top of the leaderboard again at Stonebridge, carding an 83 to win by 1. He would also go on to take home runner-up trophies and 2 seventh-place finishes. We're excited to have Colton on the Junior Tour for a few more years and enjoyed seeing his impressive debut season. Please welcome our Boys Prep Player of the Year, Colton Sargent.
All right. I just want to thank Ben and the NHGA for hosting great tournaments. I want to thank my parents for driving me around the state for all the tournaments. And I just can't wait to play next year. Thank you.
Boy, do I feel short. Yikes. So next up is our Girls Elite Player of the Year. This year's Girls Elite Player of the Year solidified herself as one of the top female golfers in the state. Not only did she make her mark on the Junior Tour, but she also competed against top female golfers across New Hampshire and New England. On the Junior Tour, she competed in 9 events and won 7 of them. When she wasn't winning, she was taking home the runner-up trophy. She never finished worse than second place all season. At the Women's State Amateur Championships, she was the youngest player in the field, taking on New Hampshire's best. She shot 80, 79, 75 to finish top 5. Her exceptional play earned her a spot to represent New Hampshire at the New England Junior Amateur, solidifying herself as a top 5 female golfer in New Hampshire. You may not recognize her without her infamous Titleist sun hat on, but please welcome up our Elite Girls Player of the Year, Josie LaFave.
I'd like to thank the NHGA and especially the Junior Tour, Ben, all his interns, and everybody who helped put on the tournaments. They were awesome, amazing, loved playing in them. Made some amazing friends doing it. Still a big group of people that I just love playing with and see them even if we're not on the golf course. I'd like to thank my family for still driving me to all these tournaments. Can't drive yet, but this winter I'll be on the road, so stay on the side, stay off the roads. In your houses is probably the safest spot, but I'd also like to thank my brother because this year I played in the Women's State Am, and it was definitely a level up from the Junior Tour, and you could tell by all of the high-level women that played in it, and I was thankful to have him as my caddy, even though we got a stroke penalty. You know, we made through. We were all right. We did great, and it was such a blessing to have him with me, and I just like to thank all of you guys for being here today, and it's just amazing to see all these great players in one spot, so thank you, everybody. Enjoy the rest of your night.
And next up is our Boys Elite Player of the Year. The 2025 Boys Elite Player of the Year is no stranger to this stage. He's a player that has been competing on the Junior Tour since he was birdie-aged player. He's been winning these awards for so long that we legitimately had a conversation in the office saying, how is Zach Nelson still a junior? Zach has dominated his respective division every step of his junior career. He has been the Birdie Player of the Year, 2-time Prep Player of the Year. He has put himself in the top of leaderboards constantly. In 2025, he continued his dominance into the elite division. He started the season with a first-place trophy at, again, Hoodcroft. He went on to rattle off 6 top 6 finishes and had a scoring average of 75.6. He was one of 8 juniors to make match play at the State Amateur, losing to the eventual runner-up. He represented Team New Hampshire at the New England Junior Am, and using half a putter in his final holes at the NHIA Division I Individual State Championship, he secured himself a runner-up finish. So welcome up our Boys Elite Player of the Year, Zach Nelson.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you all for being here tonight. It's an honor to be here and receive the Boys Elite Player of the Year award. I first want to thank the NHGA and the staff who work tirelessly to run all these great events. I've been playing in the junior tour since I was 10 years old. It's about 6 years, just like Ben said. They've been great opportunities to meet so many great people, ones that I hope to keep in touch with for years to come. Thank you to my parents for all the love and support that you give, and especially my dad for driving me all over creation for these tournaments. You've been with me through everything, the highs and the lows, and I'm glad you're still not sick of watching me three-putt all the time. Thank you to my coach, Patrick Gocklin, who I believe is in the... Hey, there he is. Thank you to my coach. You've helped me immensely to build my game, both physically and mentally. And finally, I'd like to thank Manchester Country Club for hosting us tonight. It's always great to have this dinner here at this beautiful venue. Thank you all again, and have a great night.
I can assure you he's sick of watching you three-putt, Zach. I've seen him out there. We're moving on now to our Girls Junior Player of the Year. The Girls Junior Player of the Year is another one of those faces that has been on this stage countless times. She was winning Player of the Year awards and had to stand on a stool to see over the podium. She's also been honored as a Player of the Year in every division on the Junior Tour: Birdie, Prep, Elite. She's even won a few of these multiple times. While she's clearly made a name for herself within the junior golf ranks in the state, she certainly opened eyes on the state and regional level as well. Competing in the women's amateur, she carded rounds of 77 and 74 on her first 2 days. Knowing she had work to do, she fired a 2 over 72 to be one shot back on the final hole. She was one made putt away from forcing a playoff, but ended up falling up just short. She rightfully earned a spot on Team New Hampshire for the New England Junior Amateur, where she solidified her spot as a top female golfer regionally. She ended the 54-hole championship tied at the top of the leaderboard, finding herself in a three-person playoff, again falling just short of another trophy. An impressive showing and a phenomenal representation for the state of New Hampshire's junior golfers. Personally, I remember her at Beaver Meadow as a tiny 8-year-old grinding on the practice green with her dad. So it's been awesome to see her growth as a golfer. I'm honored to present this award for the Girls Junior Player of the Year, Maddie Savory.
Good evening, everyone. First, I just want to say how honored I am to be standing here tonight. This season has been such an incredible experience, and I'm so grateful for the opportunities and support I've had along the way. One of my biggest highlights this year was competing in the Women's State Am at Dairyfield Country Club, where I finished second place. It was such a great week, challenging, fun, and full of amazing players who pushed me to be my best. I've also really enjoyed playing on the Junior Tour, where I've been able to laugh and play with friends. I want to take a moment to thank a few people who make all of this possible. To my parents, thank you for everything, for driving me to tournaments, walking the course with me, supporting me through the highs and lows, and believing in me every step of the way. I truly couldn't do this without you. Also, thank you to my coaches, Mr. Hackala and Patrick Gocklin, for always being there to help me improve and pushing me to be my best. To the New Hampshire golf staff, thank you for everything you do for golf in New Hampshire. Ben, thank you for all your hard work running the Junior Tour and creating such a great atmosphere for us to compete and grow. Darren, thank you for putting together the women's events, especially the Women's State Am. They're always so well run and so much fun to be a part of. Kinsey, thank you for organizing so many amazing tournaments throughout the year and making them run so smoothly. And to all the interns and the rest of the staff who help out at every event, your time and energy means so much to us players. This has been such a memorable season, and I'm really excited for what's ahead. Thank you again for this incredible honor and for making New Hampshire golf such a special community to be a part of. Thank you.
That'll do it for me tonight. I will welcome up our Director of Women's Golf, Darren McEachran.
Thank you, Ben. I share an office with him. Yeah, it's an honor. And Josie and Ty apologize for that penalty. Ty will work on that My bad. A few days ago, Kat Bordeaux texted me a link to a Florida State Golf Association page, and it was about her on the winning team at the Women's Florida Cup matches. My response was, all you do is win. Her response was, not always. While that's technically true, Kat is always atop the leaderboard. She notched 3 Women's Stroke Play Series wins this year, along with 3 runner-up finishes. She won the Women's Spring 4-Ball, the Women's Team Championship, and the Women's Senior Championship. She also placed 3rd at the Women's Mid-Am at Lockmere, and 2 weeks later came in 4th at the Women's Amateur at Derryfield, continuing to show that she can compete against the strongest fields. This also marks the 3rd straight year that Kat hasn't finished worse than 5th in a New Hampshire golf event. While I'm sure Kat isn't sick of all the trophies and the Pro Shop credit and being in Florida when this event is going on, she just truly loves being on the course. Doesn't really feel like a New Hampshire golf women's event if she doesn't say, "There's skins today, boss," or if she isn't overlooking the 18th green, watching her fellow competitors and cheering them on. Along with her phenomenal play, she has a great attitude day in, day out, and for the 4th straight year, please join me in congratulating Kat Bordeaux as your Women's Player of the Year. You only get me for about a minute. Here is Kinsey Hoffman.
This year's Senior Player of the Year comes with a couple of fun facts. He is definitely New Hampshire golf's tallest player. He is the top participating tournament player from the year 2022 to 2025, and he definitely has the most creative winner poses. Eric Emino might be new onto the senior scene, but he is a longtime New Hampshire golf supporter. Eric has exemplified what it means to compete at the highest level of senior men's amateur golf here in New Hampshire, and his achievements speak for themselves. To show up in 20 tournaments in 1 year is remarkable. To play in them and play well is even more impressive. Some might call him the Stroke Play Series King because you can always find his name in those fields, and even further at the top of the leaderboard in almost all of them. Eric was able to capture 3 senior division titles and never placed lower than runner-up. This past September, the senior championship experienced some of the rainiest weather conditions competitors saw this season. Eric managed to navigate not only the challenges of the weather, but the course and a talented field that included some members of the Hall of Fame, to shoot even par both rounds and capture his first New Hampshire Golf Championship. This year at the Mid-Am Championship, we literally saw all facets of what New England weather had to offer. Eric was again able to distinguish himself among his peers. In doing so, he showed the temperament and steady nerve that champions possess. He was steady when it counted, competitive when it mattered, and earned the title of low senior in the event. When you combine all of that, 20 events played this season, low senior at the Mid-Am, a tournament series win at Lake Sunapee, couple of stroke play series wins, consistent top-level participation for 4 years, and a major state title, you have the full measure of the player we are honoring tonight. Eric, your ability to raise the game when the stakes were the highest and your embodiment of what it means to be the Senior Player of the Year in New Hampshire raises the bar and sets a standard for others to achieve for or strive for. Please join me in congratulating and welcoming up this year's Senior Player of the Year, Eric Emino.
I was inspired by Aiden, so I'm going to keep this extremely short. Over the years, I've heard stories of some of the legends of New Hampshire golf. I've only lived in the state about 7 years, but guys like Danny Alvarnitis, Craig Stekowicz, Phil Fleet. And over the season, I actually got to play with all 3 of them, along with a bunch of other seniors, and they've really been very welcoming and really made it this season a pleasure for me to play. And it's truly an honor to win this award, to have my name listed among theirs. Thank you.
Ben, you thought you felt short. Alrighty. One of New Hampshire's most impressive young amateur golfers is Josiah Hakala, who this year exemplifies the highest standard of achievement, resilience, and promise in our Granite State golfing community. Josiah's season has been nothing short of exceptional. At just 18 years old, he has raised the bar and shown that he's not only just a rising talent, but one who delivers when it matters most. New Hampshire Golf's premier event of the season is our State Amateur Championship, an event that's grueling even for the most talented players in the state. During the 36-hole qualifying, Josiah had a qualifying score of 7 under, giving him the co-medalist honors. It's not often that a medalist at the State Am goes on to win the title, but here we are with Josiah breaking the boundaries of what's considered the norm. As the state amateur champion, Josiah got the special honor and an exemption into the U.S. Amateur Championship at the Olympic Club out in California. I can't think of a more perfect player to represent the state of New Hampshire and our golf community on the national level. On the junior golf side, Josiah was able to qualify for the second year in a row for the U.S. Junior Championship out in Texas and competed against the top juniors across the state. He also competed on Team New Hampshire's team in the New England Junior. On the individual side, Josiah claimed the low New Hampshire title and placed 3rd overall in the 54-hole championship. Josiah, what you've accomplished this season isn't just a list of wins and events you participated in. It's a reflection of your work ethic, focus, ability to perform when the stakes are highest, and your willingness to learn from each experience and keep raising your game. As the first player to earn the honors of both the Kirk Hannafeld Jr. Player of the Year and the Thomas J. Leonard Jr. Player of the Year award in the same year, we look forward to what's next. Whether it's your appearance at another U.S. Amateur Championship, your continued development, or the many rounds of golf ahead. You've earned our respect, our cheers, and our admiration. Please join me in welcoming up to the stage Josiah Hakala.
All right, good evening, everybody. I don't have anything written down or anything, so this is going to be wing it as much as, but I believe in speaking from the heart. I just want to thank the NHGA and all the people here tonight. Obviously, a great night of a lot of great players here. Next, I'd like to thank my parents over there. Nothing I do would be possible without them. My caddy, Evan, at home. He's the biggest goofball you'll ever meet. Keeps me calm out there. But especially my dad. My dad does everything for me. I'm getting older now. I'm 18, and you really see what life is. And without my dad, hey, it's the truth. I mean, but truly, without my dad, I wouldn't be able to do anything that I do. He means the world to me, not only on the course but off of it. And then most importantly, I want to thank my Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ. My faith is most important, and really anything that I do isn't possible without him. And then I got a little story to finish. My first state am 4 years ago. I got the pleasure of losing to Craig in the second round of match play, but he said a couple words to me after I lost that I really hit the ball right, and I made it sound different, and that really stuck with me. And he's truly a gentleman, and nobody deserves it more to be inducted tonight than Greg. So thank you.
Congratulations again to all of our players of the year. So we now reach the portion of the evening that we've been very eagerly awaiting as we induct a very accomplished player into the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. Our inductee this evening is one of the most decorated amateur golfers in New Hampshire history. Early on, his golf journey was a bit meandering, but like so many things that Craig does, once he made his commitment to the game, there was no way that he wasn't going to be great. I'm proud that we can call him a New Hampshire golfer. I'm proud that I can call him a friend, and I'm proud that now we can call Craig Stekowicz a Hall of Famer. To introduce Craig this evening as somebody who's ridden the coattails to a couple of four-ball championships, his good friend Brett Wilson.
Anybody have a pen? I need to revise my speech. Good evening. Tonight, I have the honor and the privilege of introducing my good friend, Craig Stekowicz, for his introduction into the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame. I have the easy part. Tonight, Craig, you have the hard part, so I will keep it brief. Stek is the type of person that we should all strive to be. lovingly married to his wife Jenny for over 40 years. They have 2 wonderful children, both here this evening, and 2 beautiful grandchildren, both also here this evening. Although Matt, I'm pretty sure they'd be happy with some more. Steck has given back to our golfing community, serving several years as a board member and an officer at his current home club of Portsmouth Country Club. And I don't know exactly, but I believe about a 10-year term as an influential board member with the NHGA during a pivotal time that advanced New Hampshire golf to where we are today. We all benefit from his service, and I would like to thank him and all the others in this room who have served for their efforts. I met Steck almost 40 years ago when we were paired together with a mutual friend here tonight, Bobo, who I was caddying for in the Seacoast Am. I was 12 years old at the time, and Steck immediately left an impression on me. No, it wasn't the knickers that he was wearing that day, but his fierce competitiveness, his calm disposition, and his sense of humor. He joined Kachiko shortly thereafter, where I played. We became friends, and we've played a lot of golf over the years, and from all of those experiences, I learned a great deal about competitive golf. Almost every time I play with Craig, I seem to learn something new. I want to share a line that I learned from Steck that I now use when you don't care for a golf course, and we all have them. We describe it in many ways. Steck chooses to do so by politely saying, "It doesn't fit his eye." That line epitomizes how respectful Steck is in his life. Steck is now in his mid-60s, still competing and still contending, not just at the senior level, but at every level. I have heard many of our counterparts jokingly label him as a freak of nature. While there are several others from Craig's generation, many in the room tonight, who are still competitive, how many of those guys are still walking every round like Craig? But I'm here to share a little secret. Steck only walks because when he rides in a golf cart, or specifically when he drives a golf cart, bad things happen. And Craig, thankfully, Pete Harity isn't here. I personally watched him total a golf cart at the Oaks one day. And then just 2 months ago, while we were playing together at the Tommy Keene up at Queechee, I was driving the cart, parked the cart right in between our tee shots. Steck hit his shot, jumped in the cart, and the next thing I know, the cart was turning driverless, and Steck was rolling down the fairway. I thought he was dead. It's funny now, but it wasn't then. I would like to share one final thing that Steck has said to me that has been very helpful to me over my years in golf. Golf's a great game, it's a challenging game, and at times it can be a very frustrating game. One day while I was particularly frustrated with myself, Steck says, and I quote, "Nobody cares but you." That comment has grounded me and helped me through some of my darker golf moments. In closing, I would like to review some of Steck's golf accomplishments. There are many. I'm sure I've missed some. Scott, thanks for mentioning the 4-time senior team championship. And Steck, tonight we can make an exception. We care about all of them. 2-time New Hampshire State Amateur champion, 2-time stroke play champion, 2-time New Hampshire Mid-Amateur champion, New Hampshire Players Invitational champion, multiple-time New Hampshire Player of the Year and multiple-time New Hampshire Senior Player of the Year. Probably his crown jewel, the New England Amateur Championship. He qualified for the U.S. Senior Open, 3-time U.S. Amateur qualifier, 3-time U.S. Mid-Amateur qualifier, in total 12 USGA qualifier events. He's won countless club championships at Wentworth, Kachiko, and Portsmouth. His most notable defeat being the year Matt beat him at Portsmouth. Right, Matt? He also won the Seacoast Amateur 3 times. But hey, who hasn't? Ladies and gentlemen, the newest member of the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame, and my friend, Craig Stekowicz. Thank you, Brett. Standing here tonight being welcomed into the New Hampshire Golf Hall of Fame, I feel a mixture of gratitude, humility, and a bit of surrealism, especially after my less than stellar tournament performance this year. When I first picked up a club in 1971, I never dreamed that the journey would lead me here. I just loved the game, the challenge, the discipline, the feel of a purely struck shot. Through the years, New Hampshire golf has given me so much. It's taught me life lessons and has provided me a great number of personal friendships. I look back on the last 40 years or so of my history in New Hampshire golf, and I can't believe how the time has passed. I guess I thought getting older would just take longer. So, a bit about me, for those of you who don't know. I grew up in Manchester, and my dad, Paul, introduced me and my brother Gary to the game in 1971 at Derryfield. There were no lessons, camps, or junior clinics. We learned by the seat of our pants. Our instructors were books by Ben Hogan, Gary Player, and Jack Nicklaus. Bike rides to the course for summertime rounds were a daily routine, sometimes 72 holes a day. I loved playing and learning and wanted more, which eventually led to tournament entries and exposure to competition. My first tournaments were the Insurance Youth Classic and the Manchester CYO, which were held at Derryfield. I had some success in those and in high school golf too, but before I knew it, I was graduating in 1977 and found other interests. I went off to UNH and I left the game for a period of 6 years or so. Sure, there was the occasional cool around during those years, but for various reasons, I just stopped playing. In 1983, I was living in Portsmouth, and a friend invited me to come out and watch the finals of the State Am at Portsmouth Country Club long before I was a member. It was Steve Robbins versus Dan Wilkins. On that day, Dan Wilkins prevailed, but to me, I was the winner because it rekindled desire to play again. The very next day, a Sunday afternoon, I sauntered over to the Wentworth by the Sea with some dusted off clubs and scrounged up golf balls, and I began to swing again. I figured no one would be around, it would be okay to be there. Well, no. I wasn't out there for 5 minutes when Dan Franzoso, the pro, strutted out from the shop. "Son," he said, "this is a private club. What do you think you're doing here?" Well, I feigned ignorance, stammered out some lame excuse, and left a bit embarrassed. But I was back the very next day with check in hand, and I left for the membership tag on my dusty old Hogan Sunjet bag. It was the new beginning of my struggle with the game. So I'd like to mention some milestones that stand out to me as influential in shaping my history in New Hampshire golf. First was the 1984 State Am, which was held here at Manchester Country Club. I thought I was going to be a world beater, prepared to come out of nowhere and become the unknown medalist. Well, it didn't quite turn out that way. I spent a lot of time in the trees, missed the cut by a mile, and went home disgusted with my performance. I just wasn't that good. That was an important failure and a healthy dose of golf reality for me. After toiling, learning, but improving in the Am for several more years, I found myself in the finals at Kachiko in 1988. But I eventually fell to Pete Harity 2-1. Boy, I didn't like losing that day. All that work for second place, no thanks.
Next, a couple years later in 1990, I was again in the finals at Charming Fair, now called Candia Woods. I was pitted against Peter Houle. Peter was the defending State Am and Mid-Am champion. Well, I remembered my previous final lesson, and at the end of the day, I hoisted my first New Hampshire golf trophy. As you might imagine, it was quite a gratifying experience, but also a pivotal launch point for me. It spurred me on to win again in 1998 at my alma mater, Derryfield, and later in 2001, wresting the New England Am Trophy at the Quechee Club in Vermont. To me, those achievements are as high as I could have hoped for with my golf ability. Lastly, my participation and experiences in USGA events was invaluable in my golf life. I highly recommend it to all of you young players out there. It will help you realize how good is. It gave me opportunities to play some great venues in competition like Pebble Beach, the East Lake Club, Bandon Dunes, Hazeltine, and others. I even got to play in the U.S. Senior Open in 2009 at Crooked Stick. I had my whole family with me, and with my young son Matthew caddying, it was a fantastic experience from start to finish. Here I was, this nobody from New Hampshire, playing and mingling with players I grew up watching on TV. I ended up missing the cut, but hey, I wasn't going to win anyway. So what have I learned in my golf life? Well, I certainly know that golf is not a game of winning. In fact, it's really a game of losing. In golf, your expectations and achievements will be far outweighed by your failures. I know that as well as anyone. The game can be euphoric or leave you completely demoralized. But in the end, nobody really cares how you played but you. There's an adage that says, golf doesn't build character, it reveals it. I think that's so true. The failures are what test your character. Accept defeat graciously, and you become a better human being and fellow competitor. Above all, I would like to think that I have achieved that. I would rather be known as a good guy to play golf with than a good golfer. The game has also given me so many friendships. In fact, so many of you in the room. I'd like to extend my personal gratitude to some in particular, past and present, that have been influential to me in one way or another. First, to all my friends at Portsmouth Country Club and Cocheco Country Clubs, Peter Kelty, Bill Andrews, Mike Mahan, and everybody else sitting at that table. There are just too many more to list. The lates Joe Kane, Brian Doyle, and Don Folsom, a mentor, a true friend, and a fierce competitor, gone before their times. Danny Noonan, not of Caddyshack, but of the Oaks in Somersworth. Best storyteller ever. Thanks for the years of laughs, Dano. Jim Bo Seawards, good man, great humor, thinks he can hit a one iron. No. Peter Harrity, I was afraid to talk to him early on. He's made a really nice comeback. John Lewandowski, he was the man when I was a kid. Perfect hair, killer instinct. Phil Pleat. When I was young, I always wondered why they called him Sweet. Technical, not flashy, but the guy sure knew how to win. Now I know. The king. Danny Arvanitis. When I first met him, he was 19 and I was 14. I was in awe. Nobody loves the game more, and now he's still pretty awesome. Scott Peters. Scott is kind of an unsung hero to me. He's done so much for so many people, he never looks for the acclaim he rightfully deserves. He's a successful, generous, and great family man, and he's a better player and competitor than he gives himself credit for. I've known him for 30-plus years. From those early days at the TKI, to New Hampshire Golf Board meetings, to the morning phone calls, to Scotland, to whistling down the fairways at Medalist. Thank you for it all, Scott. And of course, Brett Wilson. Like Brett said, I've known him since he was a kid. How he's grown into such a bashful, introverted wallflower. Nonetheless, he's an exceptional player, competitor, and just an all-around fun guy. But more importantly, such a good friend. I thank you for that, Brett. Nice shot, partner. Oh, and don't forget to wish Brett a happy birthday this evening. I know it's been mentioned already, but I would very much like to thank the New Hampshire golf team, Matt Schmidt, Kinsey Hoffman, Kate Billings, Ben Landman, Darren McEachran, and the interns. The New Hampshire Golf Board of Directors, past and present, and the volunteers, especially Gary and Patty. None of this happens without them. Thank you for improving and making New Hampshire golf so much fun. Also, to the scores of New Hampshire golf players and friends that I've had the good fortune to know and compete with. I couldn't possibly name you all, but you know who you are. Thank you. Finally, my family. My wife, Ginny, in particular. Thank you for the years of support. I love you, and I'm lucky to have you. My son, my caddy, and my four-ball partner, Matthew. Matt, I'm so sorry you had inherited the putting gene. I'm sure Julia hears all about it. My daughter Kate and her husband Jonas, and my darling granddaughters, Miss Charlotte and Miss Emmy. Poppy loves you guys. My brother Trace and my late brother Gary. Gary was a great athlete, better than me at any sport except golf. Drove him crazy. Rest in peace, bro. Finally, Mom and Dad, thank you. That was a great idea to get me that bag tag all those years ago. To the rest of you here tonight, thank you so much. I will always cherish this evening and appreciate you sharing it with me. Cheers.
Thank you, everyone. That concludes our evening. We appreciate everyone being here. We look forward to another great year next year. Just real quick, anybody who received an award, Player of the Year or otherwise, we'd like you to head outside. We've got a step and repeat banner out there where we can get some pictures. Also, please feel free to help yourself to the centerpieces. If you want to take those, you can. But again, thank you, everyone, for making golf in New Hampshire so wonderful. Thank you.